Okay, now we're on to the next book, which was A Cowboy Wedding for Christmas by Nicole Helm. Here's the description. Big city art teacher Lindsay Tyler isn't just back home for Colorado for her brother's wedding at the Barton Christmas Tree Farm and Ranch. She's back for good. She just hasn't told anyone yet, including Cal Barton, the ex-boyfriend she left behind. Lindsay really had to spread her wings in order to appreciate her family, her friends, and the love of her life. She does come home, but it's a cold welcome. And she's home to stay, and over time she has lots of talks. Does Lindsay win Cal back? And I keep saying the only way to find out is to read the book, but on this one, I did mark some pages to share with you, ironically enough, right? It's been a long time since I did that. So 296, 297, and 298. Let me start at 296. Just let me change. I got pain attacked by Jackson, the enthusiast. Again, she sighed heavily. Again. But as she made a move for their bedroom, Cal took her by the arm and gently pulled her towards the tree. Before you do that, why don't you have a look at... I added a new ornament. You, Cal Burton, hater of Christmas and begrudger of this very tree? I did not begrudge you this tree. I begrudged you the amount of junk you put on this tree. Humph. Look at this tree, Linz. She peered at the well-lit branches and trying to sort through the parade of sparkling ornaments she perhaps overdid splurge on. I don't see anything. But then she did, and her bag fell to the floor with a thump. And that sort of thump made her think that it might fall because she couldn't stand on her legs. She couldn't breathe. Cal watched Lindsay stare at the very modest ring that hung from the red ribbon on the red branch, or the green branch of the eye-level tree. She just stared, open-mouthed, maybe shiny-eyed, but there was no immediate answer. But then he supposed he hadn't asked the question. It was a lesson he was learning, but a painful bit, that people could not read his mind, that they never could automatically give him what he wanted if he didn't ask. All those years ago when Lindsay had broken up with him, he never asked her for different. Not to stay, not to compromise. He'd simply been furious and determined that she'd done everything that he had ever feared. Those fears didn't disappear, but he found in asking he often got the answer he wanted, and it always alleviated that fear. So instead of waiting any longer, Cal did what he should have done in the first place. He got down on one knee. Lindsay, I love you. We've started building this life together, and I want to keep it building. Will you marry me? Finally, she breathed and escaped the frozen shock, much like she had the night a year ago, because he had definitely picked this day for a reason. She launched herself at him and knocked him to the ground in the process. You delight in causing me bodily injury, so that better be a yes. It's a whatever's bigger and better than more beautiful ways than saying yes. There's nothing bigger or better or more beautiful than you saying yes to this particular question. She nuzzled into his neck, and he figured that this was probably crying, so he let them lie there on the hard ground for a few uncomfortable seconds before he nudged her off him and helped her up. Come on, you have to put it on. She laughed through the tears, and when he tugged off the ring from the tree, his hands were shaking so hard to unite the ring from the ribbon. Untie the ring from the ribbon. Donna can't talk tonight nor read, sorry. Let me try, Lindsay said, but her hands were shaking too, and in the end she just shoved the ring, ribbon and all, onto her finger. There, she said, holding it up as she could see the tears streaming down her cheeks. He felt a little choked up himself. Feels kind of silly to be this worked up, he managed to say. She pressed her palm to his cheek, her eyes still bright with tears, but her hands were not shaken any more. We worked so hard for this, and we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. I'm going to be worked up about every good thing because it feels this damn good to get hard work to get what you want. He pulled into a hug and just held her there for a moment before it reminded him of what Mrs. Tyler, which is her mom, had told him that day a year ago. That good and bad happened, but when you got to choose and what you believed in, there would always be hard times, but hard work ahead, and he would always choose to believe in the woman in his arms. So he swept her up, and against him he started carrying her towards the bedroom. I thought you were going to take me to Benson's, she murmured, planting a kiss on his neck and then his jaw. There's still time. And yes, it got an 8. I just wish it wouldn't have ended so soon. Great book. Next up will be the final book in Santa's on His Way, which will be A Baby for Christmas by Lisa Jackson. So stay tuned for that one.